Hello dear students, today we are going to discuss a new topic, that is force measurement. So first of all, what is force? So force is defined as an influence that causes an object to change its rate or direction of movement or rotation. Let us suppose a body is moving, and if you apply the force, then it will restrict the motion of that body. And if the body is in rest and if you apply the force, then it will start motion. So a force can accelerate object by pulling or pushing them. And Newton will give the definition of the force in second law of motion, according to which force is equals to mass into acceleration. Then why the force measurement is necessary? Actually, what in mechanical components we have, the last parameter that we have to measure is power. And for power we have to measure torque, and for torque measurement we need the force measurement. So the basic aim of our is to measure power, but for power measurement we have to know force and quantity and torque value. So there are different methods by which we can measure force. These are the basic principles from which we can measure force. First one is the balancing of unknown force against known gravitational force due to standard mass, and balances work based on this principle. Actually, these are the balances. For example, equilibrium beam balance that we use in the grocery shop, or a vegetable grocer used to measure the mass quantity. We use equilibrium beam balance. Similarly, there is another balance which is called as unequilibrium beam balance. So second application, or sorry, second principle is applying unknown force to an elastic member. If we apply a force to an elastic member, then we will get the magnitude of the mass applied. For example, in case of a spring balance, when we apply mass on the spring, then it will get deflected, and with the help of that deflection, we came to know the value of force. Next is translating the force to a fluid pressure and then measuring the resultant pressure. When we apply a force to a fluid, then we will get a pressure, and if we have the area over which we have applied the force, then we can easily came to the know the value of force, because pressure is equals to force by area. So from that process we can came to know the value of force applied. So in that case we use hydraulic, pneumatic, hydraulic load cell and pneumatic load cell. So first we will discuss the balances and scale. So scale and balances are of two types, that is equilibrium beam balance and unequilibrium beam balance. So first we will discuss equilibrium beam balance. In equilibrium beam balance, this is a diagram of equilibrium beam balance, in which a beam is placed in such a way that fulcrum is in between the beam, and the length of the beam to the left hand side of the fulcrum is L1, and length of the beam at the right hand side of the fulcrum is L2. It is placed in such a way that this L1 length of beam is equals to L2 beam of length of beam, and at the end of the beam there is two pen. On one pen we will put the standard mass. When we put the standard mass, then the other end of the beam get deflected. Now to control the equilibrium condition, what we have to do, we have to put the unknown mass on this second pen, and we will put the mass up till when it will get the equilibrium condition. This beam will get the equilibrium condition. And what will be the equilibrium condition? Equilibrium condition is moment at point A at this point is equals to moment at point B. It means L1, the length of the beam at left hand side, into M1. M1 is the mass of standard value, into G, is equals to moment at B, L2 into M2 into G. So for equilibrium beam balance, I have told you that L1 is equals to L2, and the value of G will remain same for both the pans. So therefore, the value of unknown mass is equals to value of standard mass. So we will easily measure the unknown mass with respect to the standard mass. Okay, so this is the working of equilibrium beam balance. Now we will discuss the working of unequilibrium beam balance. Why we are discussing unequilibrium beam balance? In the equilibrium beam balance, there is a disadvantage. For every unknown mass, we need a different standard mass. So if we want to measure 1 kg, then we have standard of 1 kg. Then if we want to measure 10 kg, then there should be a standard of 10 kg. So each and every time we have to change the standard mass. So this disadvantage of equal arm beam balance is removed by unequal arm beam balance. So next we are going to discuss unequal arm beam balance. In the unequal arm beam balance, what is happening? This is the beam. In the unequal arm beam balance, the fulcrum is not in between the beam. It is having some certain position with respect to which there is a load arm on which the unknown mass is to be placed. There is a pen and which is at the distance of A from the fulcrum, and at the right hand side of the beam there is a power arm on which the standard mass is applied, and the value of this standard mass is fixed. It will not change every time, and this standard mass can be adjusted on this power arm either on left hand side or on right hand side according to our need, according to the equilibrium condition. So how it will happen? In equilibrium condition, the moment at point A, it means at this, is equals to moment at point B at this. So what will happen? This is the unknown mass that we want to measure. So W2 into A, this is the moment at A, is equals to W1 into B, that is the weight of standard mass into B, the distance of standard mass from the fulcrum. So what will happen? The unknown mass quantity will equal to W2 equals to W1 into B by A, where if you see, this standard mass will remain same. So this is constant, this W1 is constant, and B is the distance of this standard mass from the fulcrum, and this A is fixed, the distance of unknown mass from the fulcrum. This is A. So this will remain fixed and this will remain fixed. Only the variable quantity is this B. If we adjust the weight in such a way that we will get the equilibrium condition with respect to this unknown mass, then we can know the value of W2. Okay, so B is the variable quantity which can control the equilibrium condition of this unknown mass. Okay, so this is how the unequal arm beam balance works, and this is utilized in many places, like you have seen in post office, in railway stations. This type of machine you have seen, and this is the example of unequal arm beam balance. Next is elastic force meter. Elastic force meter falls in the category of second one, applying unknown force to the elastic member. So in case of spring balance, what we do, this is the equilibrium condition when no force is applied. We have not applied any force, but when we applied a force to the spring, then our spring get deflected with respect to this external force which we have applied. Now this deflection is what? Suppose to extend the spring at a x distance and external force applied is F external, the spring will produce an opposite balancing force to keep the spring stable in F balance. So F balance is directly proportional to X. It means if you want to apply the balance force, it will deflected by X distance. So therefore F balance is equals to K into X, and K is what? K is the proportionality constant that is called as spring constant, that for how much force spring will deflected by how much value. So we can also call it a sensitivity of the spring. So according to the balance condition, F external is equals to F balance. So F external is equals to K by X. So from this value of K, we came to know the value of F. For each value of X, this K is fixed, only the variable quantity is X. So this is how the elastic force meter works. Next, we will talk about the third principle of force measurement, that is this one, translating the force to a fluid pressure and then measuring the resultant pressure, that is hydraulic load cell and pneumatic load cell. So first we will discuss hydraulic load cell. This is hydraulic load cell. This is the diagram of hydraulic load cell. The part of the hydraulic load cell are the platform on which we have to apply the force, the piston. There is a diaphragm which is connected to this piston, and there is a area which is filled with a fluid, and this fluid is having some pressure, and the pressure is indicated by this pressure gauge. Now, if you want to measure the force, then what will happen? If you have to apply the force which is to be measured on this platform, this piston will get deflected and will compress this diaphragm. So this diaphragm will get deflected with the application of this force on this piston, due to which this is a liquid filled area. So due to the compression of the diaphragm, the pressure on this fluid will get changed, and this pressure change will shown by this force pressure gauge. So you can came to know the exact value of pressure, that initial pressure is some value which is showing by this pressure gauge, and final pressure after the application of this force. So the change in pressure is final value of pressure gauge minus initial value of final pressure gauge. Now this area of diaphragm is known. This area of diaphragm is known. If we have the value of pressure and if we have the value of area, then we can easily measure this applied force. So what will happen? This pressure gauge will show you the calibrated reading of force. It will directly show you the reading of force, not of the pressure. It is a calibrated pressure gauge which will transform the force applied pressure into the force. So here you will get the value of this force which you have applied on this piston. This is how the hydraulic load cell works. The measured force is of the range 0 to 2.5 meganewton, and the accuracy of this is 0.01% of full scale. This is how the hydraulic load cell works. Next is pneumatic load cell. Next is pneumatic load cell. Pneumatic load cell, the working principle of pneumatic load cell is this: if a force is applied to one side of the diaphragm and an air pressure is applied to the other side, some pressure value of pressure will necessary to exactly balance the force, and this pressure, this will balance the force, is proportional to the applied force. And how it is will work? The force to be applied is applied to the top side of the diaphragm. It means the force which you want to measure, you have to keep it here on this platform. Due to the application of the force, what will happen? This diaphragm get deflected, and due to the deflection of this diaphragm, this this load will compress this diaphragm downward, and hence this opening of the nozzle is closed by this flapper arm. Now what will happen? We will supply air to the bottom of the diaphragm. We will open the air supply from this point, and we will supply the air to push that diaphragm up. So what will happen? As the flapper closes the nozzle, a back pressure is under the diaphragm. This back pressure act on the diaphragm, produce an upward force. Air pressure is regulated until the diaphragm return to the preloaded condition, which indicated by the air which comes out of the nozzle. It means it will apply the pressure to up this diaphragm to its initial position. So what will happen? At this stage, the corresponding pressure indicated by the pressure gauge become a measure of applied force when calibrated. Actually, this pressure gauge is also a calibrated pressure gauge, which is calibrated in terms of force applied. So when you will apply the force on this diaphragm, so there is a fixed area of this diaphragm, and due to the balancing of this diaphragm by the air, you will get the value of the force which you have applied here. And measured force is of the range 0 to 250 kilonewton. By the help of this pneumatic load cell, we can measure up to the range of 250 kilonewton, and the accuracy of this pneumatic load cell is 0.5% of the full scale. So this is how the pneumatic load cell works. So for today, this is all over from my side. Thank you so much and have a nice day.